What's going on, y'all? It's your boy Alex. Shout out to the Elite Fleet. Make sure you like and subscribe so you can become a member of the Elite Fleet. And we're going to break down this Shannon Sharpe situation. And I'm going to use a clip from Jason Whitlock to help break this situation down because he kind of runs through all the allegations in a very efficient way in his video. And it gives me a chance to not have to read and then come back and read and then come back. Nor do I have to memorize everything. I can just let him read it and then I can just react to it as we go. And this situation, as most situations do, prove why this is the best dating and relationship channel on YouTube, because it's going to prove a lot of things correct that I've already told you guys before. It's going to prove me right about how I told you guys before that having money alone does not solve your problems with women. It's going to prove me correct about all the dangers of tricking that I've warned you guys about, that they don't tell you in these manosphere spaces, that they don't tell you in these red pill spaces, all right? It's going to prove my point about women always backing women, because please believe, as we go through the allegations in this story, anyone who has common sense is going to clearly know that this is extortion and this woman is lying because she wants to get money from Shannon Sharpe. Anyone who's not disingenuous is going to be able to tell that. She's making this stuff up, right? But at the end of the day, I say this all the time, I expect women to back women. I have always expected women to back women. And I don't get mad when women back women because, that's what they're supposed to do. So basically, if it's ever a situation where it's men against women, it's almost always going to be in the women's benefit to side with the women, right? That can only help her. It doesn't help her to side with the men. It doesn't. Right? So even if she knows the men is right, she's probably going to be disingenuous and agree with the women anyway. Now, it would be nice if men did this same thing. And that's part of the reason why I'm going to be reacting to Jason Whitlock's video, because it pissed me off. Because Jason Whitlock is a lot of things, but one thing he isn't is an idiot. So I know he's reading these allegations, and I know he knows that this woman is lying, and I know that he knows that she's extorting Shannon Sharpe. So what he should be doing is calling her out for that and rallying men to support Shannon Sharpe, because at the end of the day, especially in today's climate, this could happen to any man who happens to become wealthy. Any of us, none of us are exempt from this. There's things you can do, which I've talked about before, which I'll talk about again as we get further into this video to help mitigate this happening to you. But at the end of the day, in this current climate today, with Me Too and all, this could happen to any guy. So for Jason Whitlock to sit here and basically use this as I'm going to attack Shannon Sharpe in this moment was nothing but pure jealousy, pure hatred, and pure sympathy. I'm not even going to call it simping because it has nothing to do with wanting women. Jason Whitlock is just jealous of Shannon Sharpe. He doesn't like Shannon Sharpe. He'll tell you that, oh yeah, I used to have all the women and blah, blah, blah. And you look, according to him, he used to play football, so at that point in his life, he probably did have women. But here's the thing. One, that was a long-ass time ago. Two, even if he did have women, he wasn't going to have women like Shannon Sharpe, because Shannon Sharpe was way better than him at the game of football. Shannon Sharpe was not only a pro player, not only a pro starter, not only a pro bowler, not only an all-pro, but a Hall of Famer. So he never had access to the women that Shannon Sharpe had access to. He also never had the success in media that Shannon Sharpe has had as well. So Shannon Sharpe is in better shape than you. He's getting better women than you. He's making more money than you. And he's coming to your industry and beat you at that too. So he does not like Shannon Sharpe. And the problem with men is if a man is a simp or a man is a hater or a man is jealous, and this doesn't get talked about enough, unlike women who will be like, look, I might not like this B, but at the end of the day, if it's women against men, I'm going to side with the woman. Men who are simps will side with the women because they think that's going to get them laid. It never works, but that's what they think, right? Men who are haters or men who are jealous will side with the women because they want to just take the dude that they're hating on or jealous of down. But all of this sets men back as a whole. And this is what I need you guys to understand. And that's the only reason I'm taking this much time going through this at the beginning of the video. All of this sets men back as a whole. Anyone who's getting false allegations put up against them, and we don't all come together and say, hey, this is BS, and we don't rally against it, all we're doing is hurting other men. We're not helping anyone. The same thing I tell you guys all the time when I say, look, you got a problem with child support laws, you got a problem with alimony, do you need to take it to the courts and try to beat it? Oh, we ain't going to do all that because they ain't going to listen and it ain't going to work. Well, okay, guess what? You're only hurting your son, your brother, your uncle, your friend. You're only hurting other men by not doing anything and just sitting there and complaining about it. That's all you're doing. So irregardless how you feel about Shannon Sharpe, when someone's clearly extorting another man, right? Any man should defend that man. That's just what should happen. Any man should defend that man. I noticed this type of crap when the Jay-Z allegations were going on. And everybody wanted to pile on Jay-Z. You know, Jay-Z's this and Jay-Z's that. And I knew that girl was lying. And before I even got a chance to make a video on it, it came out that she was lying. And she had the same clown lawyer that this girl has, by the way. The same exact clown lawyer. And when it came out that she was lying, the apologies was never as loud as the disrespect. Everybody and their mama had a video to make about Jay-Z when the allegations were out there. Hot off of the P. Diddy allegations. And when it came out that that girl was lying, nobody was making apology videos. Nobody was saying, my bad, Jay-Z. Nobody said anything. Entertainment Today, CNN, nobody said a word. Everybody just ignored the story once it was realized that he wasn't guilty. And as men, we got to fight against this type of crap too. That's my problem with Jason Whitlock. You're going to make a video like this, right? And when it comes out that she's lying, are you going to apologize? No, he's not. So we're just going to all jump in and knock down Shannon Sharpe's reputation and knock down Shannon Sharpe's net worth. And for what? For what? You know, I see people got the Monique thing going viral. He should have listened to Monique. Monique told him he should date an older woman. Yeah, as if dating an older woman to stop you from getting false allegations if you're rich. Because those women who got Bill Cosby put in jail at like 100 years old were young women. Stop it. But anyways, look, I've been talking enough. Let's start to get into the reaction and the actual allegations.
I want to read to you a story that TMZ has published. Today, Shannon Sharpe sued for $50 million over alleged rapes. This came out this morning. Shannon Sharpe has just been sued for allegedly raping a woman on multiple occasions, and the plaintiff in the case is asking for tens of millions in damages. The lawsuit obtained by TMZ Sports was filed by Jane Doe on Sunday in Nevada after she...
Now, the woman's name is no longer Jane Doe. We now know that she's an OnlyFans model. We now know this. So it's no longer a Jane Doe thing. Now I'm purposely not saying her name because what's pissing me off is now all of a sudden it just conveniently comes out when this story goes viral that she's an OnlyFans model. So for me to say her name is just going to send a bunch more simps over there to go and see who she is, who's just going to get her more clicks, more interaction, and ultimately more money. So I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to say her name. I know you guys can look it up anyways, but I just want y'all to know if you are curious, it is out there now.
Says Sharpe brutally sexually assaulted her several times at the end of 2024 and the beginning of 2025 following a years-long abusive relationship. According to the suit, Jane Doe met Sharpe in 2023 at a gym in Los Angeles when she was 20 years old and he was in his mid.
Now, rather or not you think a 20-year-old and a 50-year-old should be messing around, I don't really get into that. Me personally, if you're 50 and you're talking to a 20-year-old, there's clearly nothing there going on but a transaction. So if you're going to do that, then you need to have the transaction on paper. Shannon Sharpe is having a lot less trouble right now if he just had the girl sign a contract. This is your allowance. This is what you're going to do for me in exchange for that allowance. And this is our non-disclosure agreement, or this is our little contract, whatever the case may be. Now, I understand that prostitution is illegal. So that can get a little bit sketchy because it's like, well, Alex, if you had her sign a contract for sex work, they could both potentially go to jail for that. In my opinion, that's fine because at the end of the day, look, at least I'm taking you down with me. You're not getting any more money and we're both going to go down. I'm going down and you're coming with me. That's all I'm saying. So the likelihood of a woman signs a contract that she's going to then run her mouth is slim. Now, it does happen. Lil Baby slept with that porn star and she signed a non-disclosure agreement and still ran her mouth. So it could happen, but it's a lot less likely that it would happen. This is what Justin Bieber and a lot of other people did, and it tended to work out well for them. But if you're 50 dealing with a 20-year-old, this is very clearly a transactional relationship, so put the transaction on paper. It'll make it a lot less likely she's going to say anything if you put it on paper. Who's going to really want to say, I signed a contract that for X amount of money a month, I was letting you blow my back out? Not only could she go to jail for that, so she's probably not going to say anything. But again, women's social shame works well on women. It doesn't work as well as it used to because of the time that we're in, but it still works to an extent. Either way, let's continue.
She stated in the docs during their first encounter, Sharpe told her he would buy her fake tits if she won a weight loss competition with him. She wrote in the suit that Sharpe proceeded to pursue her.
I just want to say this really quick. That people were surprised that it turned out to be a white girl. He's buying her fake breasts. What did you think? That's not to say black women never purchase fake breasts, right? But if the bargaining trip is, you'd mess with me, I'll get you some fake tits. 9 out of 10 times, that's a white woman, all right? If the bargaining chip was a BBL, then I'd be like, yeah, I understand, if you were surprised it was a white woman. But anyways, let's continue.
Relentlessly calling, texting, and demanding she come to his Beverly Glen mansion. The woman stated she and the former Denver Broncos tight end ultimately got into a consensual relationship, though she described it as controlling and verbally abusive. Quote, he demanded complete control over her time and body, attorney Tony Busby wrote in Doe's lawsuit, expecting her to be at his house on his schedule at his command whenever he called. Doe claimed there was one argument in particular that terrified her when he yelled at her while a firearm was visible in the room. Quote, plaintiff tried sharing her location with friends from her iPhone just in case, the document states. But Sharpe saw her doing this. The moment he realized what she was doing, he grabbed her by the neck and told her, if you ever do that again, I will effing kill you. The two nevertheless continued the relationship.
Now let's stop right there. Now this was already weird enough that you said this abuse and these grapings happened over years. Who gets graped for years with a nest? I hate women like this because it makes real victims, one, it makes it harder for real victims to be believed, but also, two, it's disrespectful to real victims. Nobody's about to go back and just keep going back willingly to get raped. There's a difference between being locked up somewhere and being trapped or having your father or an adult with leverage over you doing this to you. It's a whole other thing to be willingly going over to someone's house to get raped and assaulted. That doesn't make any sense. Even in the story that he just told, he said that just for sharing his location with her friends, that he grabbed her by the neck and said if she ever does that again, he'll kill her. So why in the world would any sane human being go back and continue the relationship after that? Why? Again, this was clearly transactional. And then, without even hearing the rest of the story, I'm just going to tell you guys what happened here. Because I want to spend the rest of the video talking about why Jason Whitlock shouldn't even said the stuff that he's going to say going forward. But let me just give you guys a breakdown of what happened here, all right? And this is the dangers of tricking that they don't tell you about the red pill, all right? The best gems come for those who stay to the end. Someone timestamp this for me. The problem with tricking on a woman, especially when you don't have a contract, is that she becomes reliant on that money. When you decide to move on to a different girl, or you just decide to stop paying her, she has to find someone to replace that money. It ain't that easy to find a trick, guys. Especially a rich trick. Alright, it's not that easy. You might be able to be an escort and find a couple thousands, right? But if you got a dude who's really he's buying you Birkins and, he's putting you in penthouses and paying the rent every month on top of buying you things and taking you out and all this other stuff, that is not easy to find. So I'm saying that to say some women think it will be. They realize quickly that it's not, and then they get resentful because guess what? You still got to pay for that penthouse. You still got to keep up with that car that he got you. All right, you get a fake body, that requires maintenance, gym memberships. You got to go and get it re-sculpted and get your body redone and tweaked up and stuff. All right, this is maintenance. This requires constant income. You can't stop making money. So if you got a dude who's putting, let's just say a rough number, right, $400,000 a year in your pocket to be his muse, then all of a sudden his eyes go to another woman and he gives her that money and you can't replace it. Guess what happens? You get resentful. And hell has no fury like a woman scorned. And that's how we end up in a situation like this. And this is the dangers of tricking that they don't tell you about, all right? Besides getting set up and the million and one other things that could go wrong with having a tricking-based relationship, what are you going to do when you don't want to deal with this woman no more? She's been reliant. You're basically a job to her, and essentially you fired her. And now she can't get another job at a level that you had her at. She's going to get resentful, and now she's going to extort you, or she's going to try to tear you down. All right? And you're telling me that this is cheaper than marriage, but she's trying to get you for $50 million. Now, she's going to lose this lawsuit, but the damage that she's going to cause to your reputation and the people who just hate you, who won't let the story die, who are going to pretend that for some reason, you somehow bullied her into retracting the story or whatever the case may be, you can't get that money back. Jay-Z said he lost $40 million just from getting accused. You'd have been better off marrying somebody and them saying, hey, man, you know what? Here, take this $15 million and get out of my face. For all of that, that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. This is why I tell you guys not to trick. Because if you just got the woman off the content of your own character, the likelihood she would do something like this, like go around and throw out random rape allegations, is a lot slimmer, guys. It's not my opinion. This is a fact. It's a lot slimmer. But when you're funding someone's life and then you just cut off that funding, you got to expect them to feel a certain way about it and try to get back at you. But let's continue.
Been following a move by both to Nevada during the summer of 2024. However, Doe states in her suit she attempted to break things off after his infamous Instagram live streaming incident, which she said led to him raping her.
I want you guys to understand, right? She said his Instagram incident led to him raping her. This is after she said that he choked her out and said he'd effing kill her. And if you think she's going to stop dealing with him after this, of course not. Let's continue.
The first instance happened in October 2024 at her apartment. She said the 56-year-old Pro Football Hall of Famer forced himself on her while she was crying and sobbing. The second instance, the suit alleges, happened a few weeks later in January 25.
They said
Doe
the
claims
first
Sharpe
incident happened shortly after the Michelle situation. The second incident happened again after that. So this is 3 incidences in a row and you keep going back over there. Come on, man. This is a joke. This is a joke. I hate to laugh at it, but this is a joke. Let's continue.
Over to her house with promises of delivering a Christmas and birthday gift to her, but instead violently sexually assaulted her once more. She's suing for over $50 million. Quote, it takes a great deal of courage to stand up against those with power, fame, and money, Busby said in a statement after filing a suit on Doe's behalf. I look forward to pressing this case in court. Story ends. We've reached out to Sharpe for comment on the case, but so far, no word back.
Now, Sharpe released some text messages from this situation, which I'm going to review at the very end of the video. But before I do that, I want you guys to hear what Whitlock had to say about this whole situation.
This is problematic.
And yes, it's problematic. Like, hold on, they're in a consensual relationship. She's saying she's raped. This is very similar
to what happened to
Harvey Weinstein. The woman that he's in prison for, I think in New York or California. Maybe it's California. They had a years-long consensual relationship that she claims involves a couple of instances of rape. And Harvey Weinstein's in prison. When they decide...
Now, Harvey Weinstein had a lot more allegations than from one woman. But he's talking about the main allegation that got Harvey Weinstein put in prison. But again, the dangers are tricky. What did I just tell you guys for all the guys who are going to say I don't know what I'm talking about? It was the same thing. Harvey Weinstein had a quote-unquote consensual relationship, was really just based around, I'm going to pay you to deal with me, with a chick. And when he cut the chick off, she's like, oh, hell no. And she got mad and she got bitter and she got him locked up. Right? Now, again, Harvey Weinstein's situation is different because there's a lot more than one woman involved. But in the case of the woman he's talking about, it's the same damn thing. Again, when you fund the woman's lifestyle, especially at that income level, you have to think, where is she getting this money from when you're ready to move on? You are her support. You're her provider at that point. Where is she getting the money from? You better hope you got a Ruby Rose who can find another $5 millionaire like that. Because if you don't, your ass is in trouble. But let's continue.
They want to get you.
They want to get you.
They can come get you.
They can come get you. And
Shannon Sharpe's history.
When you hear Tony Busby's name involved in this, Tony Busby is the lawyer out of Houston that was the leader of the Deshaun Watson massage therapist problem. And so what ended up happening to Deshaun Watson was there was one massage therapist, there was two massage therapists, and there was three massage therapists. Then the next thing you know, there were 5, 6, 7, 25 massage therapists. And he couldn't get out from underneath that. And if anybody look up the history, if it hasn't all been buried and removed from Wikipedia, but look up the history on Shannon Sharpe and why he left CBS Sports when he was on the NFL Today Show or whatever it was called over at CBS Sports. There were a lot of allegations involving baby mamas, ex-girlfriends, and they walked away from Shannon Sharpe and ended that deal because he had issues with women. And this used to be on his Wikipedia page, and then it's mostly either completely disappeared or mostly disappeared because money can do that. They can smear you or clean you up on Wikipedia. I was alive at the time when this went on, and when Shannon Sharpe came to Fox Sports, obviously I was there. And I was like, wow, the guy just got ran out of CBS for all these allegations with women. How do you go all in on that in this Me Too era? So it was always baffling. And when you heard me back then, slightly complaining or letting off signals like, man, what's Shannon Sharpe doing with all this racial this, racial that? Everybody's a racist, and he's putting on a do-rag.
You see what I'm saying about Jason Whitlock here? Jason Whitlock's going all over the place. He's talking about allegations from CBS, which I personally never heard them stories. I don't know. Maybe he's telling the truth and that did happen and they did just bury it and delete it from Wikipedia or whatever. Should be on some type of a news outlet, honestly, or something. I'm not saying it's not true, but I've never heard of it, right? And I remember Shannon Sharpe back when he was on NFL Today back in those days. Here's my thing. What the hell does that have to do with this woman and her story that makes no sense? That's clearly a lie to extort this man. She hears he's signing. Everyone hears that Shannon Sharpe's about to sign a $100 million media deal, and she wants $50 million. $50 million. That's a very specific number. That's half of his new media deal. What are we talking about here? Just say that the woman is a liar. And this is what I'm talking about, how Jason Whitlock and men like Jason Whitlock don't help men. That's why I wanted to play that segment. Because he's about to go into a whole thing about how Shannon Sharpe, really likes white girls. And he's pretending that he's like the black and Uncle Shay Shay and all that other extra stuff. But the point is, he's going to go on a whole smear campaign against Shannon Sharpe for the rest of this video, instead of just being honest with himself and just saying, I don't like this man. So instead of doing what I should do, which is my duty as a man that this could happen to me too, could happen to any man, right? Because Me Too works two ways. Me Too as in any woman could get abused, but also Me Too as in any man can get accused. Let it breathe, run it back. Me Too as in any woman can get abused, but also Me Too as in any man can get accused. So what he should be doing is saying she's a liar, because she clearly is. Her story doesn't add up, because it clearly doesn't. But instead of him doing that, because he doesn't like Shannon Sharpe, He wants to go into a whole spiel about how there were allegations here against Shannon Sharpe and there were allegations there. Here's your allegation, there's an allegation, everywhere's an allegation, and all this other nonsense and stuff because he wants to pile on because he doesn't like Shannon Sharpe. And what I'm trying to tell you guys is, in a situation like this, you have to put all that, I don't like this dude, how I feel about this dude, and all this other stuff to the side. And you got to come together and say, as a man, we got to get this out of here because this can happen to anyone. We cannot have these women running around telling these stories that are clearly not true, and we're not G-checking it. All right? We can't do that as men. It doesn't make any sense to do that as men. You're going to go and say all this stuff, right? And this is just going to give the maniacs more fuel to the fire. See, look at his history. His history shows that he's done this and he's done that and he's done that and he's done this. But the reality of the situation is, let's stick to this situation we're talking about right now. And in this situation that we're talking about right now, this woman is clearly lying. Now, the best gems come for those who stay till the end. I repeat, the best gems come for those who stay till the end. Shannon Sharpe also released text messages that he had exchanged with this woman. And in those text messages, you hear her talking all the time about how she wants to have his big black baby, how she wants him to nut in her, right? And she wants $25,000 for each cheek, right? Which just further cements my point that I already made about how this was clearly a transactional relationship. But the key in the text messages is she kept talking about repeatedly how she wanted him to nut in her, how she wanted to have his big black baby. What does this tell you guys? It tells you that she wanted to have a kid by Shannon Sharpe so she could secure the bag for the next 18 years. Because she knew he wasn't going to be stupid enough to marry her. So her next thing was, well, I heard athletes are dumb, even though this is a 50-something-year-old athlete, I think 56 today, right? So he's obviously smarter than a 20-something-year-old athlete, but I digress. So she's like, I'm going to see if I can get this guy to nut in me so I can get me a permanent check. Shannon Sharpe obviously didn't take that bait. He didn't nut in there. He didn't give her a baby. He didn't get her pregnant. And so now she does this. And this is where we are today. Those text messages show me enough. Also, in those same text messages, you can also see lines where she mentions about getting choked and getting slapped. Basically, she's like role-playing, liking it rough. But then now trying to play it like he was doing all these things to her without her consent. Which, if you go through the text messages, that's clearly not the case. Clearly, she's like, yeah, smack my cheeks, put a baby in me, choke me. She's asking for these things to happen. Now, Shannon Sharpe did do one thing that I always advise you guys to do, which is never delete any text message you send a woman. Because women screenshot, they leak shit, and they never show what they did. They only show what you did. Let it breathe, run it back. They never show what they did. They only show what you did. So you have to keep every single exchange you've ever had with a female. I don't care how much she piss you off, nothing. Never delete anything. So that way when she pulls this type of bullshit, you can just pull everything up like Shannon Sharpe did. Now this is going to cost him a bunch of money, right? And this is going to mess with his reputation. But he's not going to lose this case. Buzz B's a trash lawyer. I mean, he did get Harvey Weinstein down, but again, that's a bad example because there were several women with allegations against Harvey Weinstein. Again, this is the same goofy lawyer. He got Watson down too, but again, there were several allegations against Watson. All right, he's also the one putting that BS case against Jay-Z. Obviously, that didn't work out, and if she's the only one who's going to make these allegations against Shannon Sharpe, that's not going to work out either. But this is what I'm talking about, guys. And that's why I wanted to wrap up with that Whitlock thing. Because this is what I mean when I say, as a man, you can feel however you want to feel about Shannon Sharpe. You can feel like he shouldn't have been at Fox Sports. You can think whatever you want to think. He's a scumbag. He's this, he's that. But when you see that a woman is clearly lying on him, I don't want an 11-minute video where you're adding fuel to the fire to make it seem like she might have a point. She's lying. And as a man that this could happen to too, there shouldn't really be anything else said outside of that she's lying. If you want to smear Shannon Sharpe, do it in a different video. But this is the type of shit that men do. The woman who lied on Jay-Z just gets to lie on Jay-Z, and then when it comes out she's a liar, no one says anything. No one attacks her. Nothing happens. She just gets to get away with lying. The woman who lied on Trevor Bauer, the baseball player, the pitcher, she just got to get away with lying. Women didn't hold her accountable. No one hunted her down. She just got to get away with lying. And this is what I'm talking about. So for you to pile on Shannon Sharpe and not on the woman who's clearly making this up is insane. And then when it comes out that this woman's lying, Whitlock's not going to make a video, just like no one else is. No one's going to make a video saying, okay, my bad, Shannon Sharpe, I was wrong. Everybody's just going to be like, oh, well, you know, it is what it is. And they're going to move on. And as men, we have to stop doing that type of shit. We do, man. We got to stop doing that, man. We got to look out for each other, man. Or this type of stuff. Women take advantage of the fact that men have ego and men always want to be the boss. And everybody wants to be an alpha. Alphas don't stick together, guys. They don't. Alphas always want to be the man. That's the downfall of the alpha mentality. When you always want to be the man, if someone else comes around, they're more of the man than you. In any situation, there's going to be a clash. You can't take no else. So in a situation like this, Whitlock's just thinking way too much as an alpha. It's like, this is my chance to get back at Shannon Sharpe. Instead of looking at this from the mindset of, yo, as a man, I need to have this dude's back because this woman's clearly lying and this needs to stop. What we should be pushing for is women who coming out here and telling these types of lies to go to jail. We should not be digging up shit from the 1990s and early 2000s when Shannon Sharpe worked at CBS. And these were still allegations, by the way. These were still allegations. Even if what Jason Whitlock is saying is true, it was still an allegation. It was never proven. We shouldn't be digging up prior allegations to say, see. We should be saying this B is lying and these B's need to go to jail. Because that's what needs to start happening. Because the only thing that's going to stop these little hussies is putting them in jail for lying. But again, just like men don't do anything about child support laws and they don't do anything about alimony but complain about it, they probably aren't going to make any noise for false alligators to go to jail. So women will continue to do the false allegations. It is what it is. That's my thoughts on that, you guys. I am Alex, and I am out. Peace.